afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting Propagandacast with me, your host, Imperial Dane, Master of Propaganda, Hero of Sight, Defender of the Fatherland. We're off here to an exciting 1 vs 1 on favorable approach. Between these, we got Jove seemingly back here from a brief hiatus from the game, which some players occasionally take for different reasons, really. We're fighting here for the Soviet Union for the 2nd Guards Mechanized Corps. Versus in the west, we got Panzergrenadier Angreifen fighting for Germany, Deutschland. And the Feldherrnhalle Panzergrenadier Division with mechanized assault, Jaeger armor and elite troops versus Jove's Guard Motor, Partisans and Shock Rifle with Panzergrenadier Infantry for Angreifen versus Infantry and Machine Guns for Jove. The Pioneers MD42 Grenadiers here for Angreifen. So far standard looking start versus double conscripts there for Jove. Also a pretty standard start, obviously not quite as sort of popular lately with just conscripts there with more maxims and penal tool play overall there being sort of, the foundation for a lot of Soviet play. But Joe, obviously, one wanting to stand out here, perhaps a bit of just sticking to what he knows. And he is sticking to the conscripts. The standard Soviet rifleman. We got a third squad there on the way for him and the 2nd Guards Mechanized Corps. We got Grenadiers coming up engaging here the conscripts, firing away with their Kar-98Ks. House here overall pretty solid. Well, not solid. Obviously for infantry, it's a pretty rubbish house since they can only fire through one window, which means overall firepower-wise, it's not good. Conscripts in particular do not benefit from it very much. But there you go, gauging into the MD42 here. He could have, I think, tried rushing past it, but Jove seems to be, I think, more trying to play tricks around here with Angreifen, and perhaps just trying to tie up a lot of forces around here before then disengaging, basically wasting his time. In which case, that's pretty damn clever, actually. Conscripts moving up, you've got sandbags in this case. Well, some of the, stuff in front of it rather prevents Angreifen from using it, but later down the road, of course, we'll clear up. But there you go, Grenadiers taking fire. We got the MD4 sitting up here in the north. MD4, engineers moving up. We got a 2nd engineer squad there. So 3 conscripts, which could indicate perhaps support from Compania there. So follow up with a Maxim. Not so unusual, but at the same time not the sort of, I think, most usual thing either. Meanwhile, though, we got the Russians pushing through in the south. He could go for the fuel point, dig in there, and prevent Angreifen from going forward. That would actually, I think, be a pretty nasty tactical victory there for Jove. That could turn into a strategic victory, depending on how long he can hold the fuel pump. But instead, engage here the Grenadiers, who I think should fall back behind the truck. They want to grab the point, obviously, but I think the priority should be getting into cover that is a bit more durable than a few bits of hay and a crate, to shoot at the Russians. Overall here, the Russians sort of more applying pressure there to him. He's actually gone for the 2nd engineer squad, but not teched up here, so might just be using them for additional flamethrowers or something else there. Got to the flanking again, the Grenadiers here, catching bad position there, go Angreifen forced away. 3 Grenadiers, 1 MD42. Meanwhile, 2nd engineer squad there, and the MD42 falling back here, so that actually means he's quite been pushed back across the front here by Jove and the 2nd Guards Mechanized Corps. Engineers moving up, they're covering them from behind the sandbags. Nice bit of work there. Up north we got here the Engineers versus the Pioneers, MP40s versus Mosler and Nagants. Aggressive play here from Jove, overall versus Angreifen, who certainly struck me a bit sort of contained it all. There we go, Engineers suppressed here, but the MP42 Grenadiers opening up as well. We've got conscripts here nearby, which could easily move up close and threaten them, though of course with the MD42 nearby, it could very easily turn lopsided there against Jove. So in this case, he just decides to fall back, also grabbing the fuel point there, good work. Up north, Engineers are falling back here, trying to build distance here between Angreifen's Pioneers and his Engineers, and so far Angreifen is obliging that by not pursuing the Engineers with his Pioneers. Up here trying to pressure for the centre again, not going for the fuel point yet. This could definitely turn out to be a strategic disadvantage for Angreifen as if the game sort of runs longer. Because again, that could easily be a lot of fuel there for Jove, or even just enough fuel to quickly rush ahead for some armour. Got support from company up there for Jove. And up north here, Engineers being hit against the Pioneers. Going for the CoH point there, setting up here. Really wants to control the centre first before he actually tries to control the southern fuel point. Interesting move there for Angreifen. Personally, I would have gone for this first, then the centre maybe. Otherwise, I'd always try and actually gain control of both fuel points. There you go. Angreifen's not aiming for both, or at least the other fuel point as well. He's trying to disrupt Jove's fuel flow. And now Jove actually getting closer to the Pioneers with his Engineers. I feel that could prove to be a mistake there actually for Jove, and he could actually end up losing here in the north. In fact, he is losing right now to the Pioneers. Not entirely sure what inspired Jove to do this, but that turned out to be not very productive. We got conscript Engineers here, conscript Engineers actually versus the Grenadiers here, rushing forwards. If you're going for elite troops, you could pop a light concussive grenade here and actually stun the conscripts and, force them out. Meanwhile, securing the centre here with Grenadiers MD42, so still need to get to actual fuel point. Further fun here, the Grenadiers are slowly being bled out. Simply too many Russians. They've got the Grenadiers here now flanking against them. We got a Maxim here though, so he did go for a Maxim to support the Grenadiers. He did also lose an engineer squad. It's a bit of loss there for Jove. Angreifen suddenly turned the tables here on Jove very quickly here in the first 5 minutes. Roughing it off, wipes another conscript squad. Holy moly. Jove here is suffering rather heavily now all of a sudden in the early game. Again, he had a sort of nice lead, but all of a sudden Angreifen is turning the tables on him and delivering some quite severe punches, which should slow down Jove here in the early game. Could actually allow Angreifen to then gain quite a bit of match. Oh, Scheiße. He almost got another engineer squad there. This is some heavy punching that Angreifen is delivering. He is not pulling any punches at all. I mean, he was close to losing not just a country squad, but 2 engineer squads. He's just lost 1 engineer squad, though, but still that's going to be pretty heavy there. We got another country squad there to replace the ones lost, but Angreifen there is all of a sudden looking really strong here. He has teched up, but he's first building a bunker there. He's got most of the map there now. He's got control of the flow of the fuel. He's got the victory points. I mean, he's got pretty much everything here versus Jove. At the same time, of course, he also has to defend a lot more, so this could be what Jove can turn against him if Jove is sharp, and Jove is one of the sharper players, even if you think probably not for a bit. We've got S-Mans here, nice cover here. By the way, Angreifen as a player loves using S-Mines. If he's over commander best, he'll generally go for fortifications because he can lay down S-Mines with that. So, little fun fact there. But S-Mines well laid down can be quite effective, and Angreifen is probably one of the best players when it comes currently to laying down S-Mines. We got Guardsmen here, Jove going for a pretty bog standard choice. They've got motor, the ever-potent doctrine there with the Guardsmen, heavy mortars into T-35s. Mortars, not motors, but mortars. And that could, of course, do a lot of damage. We've got a 2-2 here for Angreifen. He could, I think, go on for Panzer Grenadiers here, but certainly the 2-2s do provide him with more mobility and allow him to react better. Rush from point to point and so defend there. Though, of course, you could also use a half-track for that to shift the infantry instead here and there. But, you know, details. Minesweepers out. Angreifen taking no chances here with Jove, who could easily laying down a lot of mines. Grabbing the munitions here, avoiding the minefield there for now. Also brought up another engineer squad. He needs to get up some minesweepers for them, since all the other squad has been upgraded with flamethrowers. Sandbags going down. Need to get the fuel point here, though, because he can't immediately attack him. And Jove, in fact, has dug in pretty heavily in the machine guns, guardsmen, sandbags. It's not going to be easy to dislodge him from here. We got a mortar following up there for Angreifen, and the Feldherrnhalle Panzergrenadier Division, a more elite Panzergrenadier Division, formed up on some of the remnants of the SA, which was sort of the predecessor of the SS, the Sturmabteilung. Was actually surprisingly well equipped for a Panzergrenadier division. Actually had its own Panther battalion, which was surprisingly rare, would later be formed into a Panzer division, and then finally a full Panzer. Quite, I don't think it was a Panzer division. There's at least some uncertainty on that, but it was later at least be formed into a full Panzer Corps. No fun fact there. Modifying the Maxim. Context moving up here. Coming on fire from the MD-42. Also, fun fact, there would also be a Feldherrnhalle Panzer Brigade, which fought exclusively on the Western Front. Never met with the Panzer Corps or the Panzer Grenadier divisions. Years getting blasted with the 222. Auto cannon coaxial machine gun caused a bit of problem there. Guards will hold up behind cover. Conscripts maximum advantage towards the west. And we got the mortar here. Troops sealing reinforcing. And up here, Grenadiers bring about. S-Mine field cleared there by the engineers. A lot of action going on here with these players. They're sort of probing each other out. There's not a lot of, you know, just heavy-handed blows. There's probing, poking, and then looking to sort of hit in there hard. So some top-notch play here already, I think, from two very veteran players. Max then pushed back by Grenadiers. Conscripts out in the open, taking here further from the 222s and the MD-42. Grenadiers bring up to cover the centre there, and then we go slightly pushed back here. You should definitely consider some light machine guns for them as soon as you can. Versus all these Germans who are in fact getting light machine guns for their men. No further tech up there for Jove yet. He's yet to, I think, push that advantage when he can. Angreifen could again go for Panzer Grenadiers here. Theoretically a half tack or another 222. You could also try and tech for the next tier. But there we go, we got some Panzer Grenadiers out there for Angreifen in the Feldherrnhalle. We got S-Mines here, again lots of S-Mines from Angreifen. To try and make it harder here for Jove to move about and sort of approach any points easily. And also pretty good at just really doing a lot of damage to units on retreat, though with Minesweepers opposite that's going to be less of a problem, so it didn't quite work out there. Mortify there supporting Angreifen's frontline efforts. Joe once more rather constrained and contained by Angreifen. Got Guardsman up here. Need to fix the 2-2, and there we go. Moving up to the Pioneers, slowly rolling up. And we got Tech up here for Jove, and an attempt there certainly to get out of this containment from Angreifen. The T-70 could easily prove to be very potent here, since Angreifen's got no anti-tank. No Pack 40s, he's not been laying down telemines. And well, he's certainly a bit off there from Panzerschrecks. You got push up here by Consequence Garden against the Grenadiers. A lot of heavy fire there against the Grenadiers. We got Panzer's Grenadiers moving in to flank behind the force here. Very good move there. Very good move there by Angreifen. Could catch Joe off guard and do a lot of damage. And there we go. Shots fired. All of a sudden, Jove is a bit threatened here. And there you go. Results in a full retreat here. Getting a few kills, but overall not too much damage here because Jove reacted in time. He tried to prolong the engagement here. And that could very much more quickly turn backly for Jove there. So good response there. Grenadiers be attacked by Conscript Engineers support here by the Maxim. Engineers being northwards. Comes there flanking behind. Again, lots of flanking in from both players. So trying to outmaneuver the other player. Get the best positions. There go flame for fire. Making this further inhospitable for Angreifen's men. Still got the minefields here causing a problem there for Jove. 2-2 nearby. And we got the mortar in a pretty cheap position line to cover most of the north half of the map here. MD-42 moving up. Panzer Grenadiers grabbing the back in the southern munitions point. T-70 almost done there for Joe, and that's going to be the time I think which can sort of really, return some blows there to Angreifen again. Let's make sure not to suffer too much after those initial heavy losses, but we'll have to see if we can't sort of leverage that T-70 there for some more pressure, and perhaps turn the game a bit further around for him again. Next one, to the center, there you go. T-7 setting off some S-mines with its 45mm gun. Pioneers wiped, horrendous loss there for Angreifen. There go, could get the mortar as well. There we go, mortar annihilated, quickly hitting Angreifen's overextended north and tearing it apart like it was made of vapor. Devastating hits there. He could pursue, but in this case, Jove decides to assume perhaps there's a Pack 40 or something else that could punish his T-70, and he quickly retracts it here. So, I mean, that is definitely also the hallmark of a sort of more veteran player. Some would just push in there, but in this case, Jove's tactical sense basically tells him just to pull back after having done otherwise a lot of damage. I mean, 2 wipes there in a matter of seconds is quite heavy there. Panzers need to be careful here. All of a sudden, they're extended. T-70 just waiting, got a field gun following up here for Jove. He's clearly worried about enemy armor then. Perhaps he's worried Angreifen might have rushed for Tier 3 actually, and he has sort of teched it up there, but he's yet to build it. Engineers being run for the mortar, and there you go. That means he's going to have the artillery advantage. Oh, Grenadiers here on the spot, and there we go. Rough grenade as well. Wiping out the Engineers with the mortar in return. But we got the T-70 back here. MD-42 2-2 though. In the center there, being held up by Angreifen's Grenadiers, and in the south, Guardsmen going for the fuel point there. A lot of fighting over the fuel points. Can't to do with the reinforcement, and the T-70 again staying at sort of distance here, not trying to push his luck too far here against Angreifen. Very cautiously sort of going about this, but of course at the same time not too cautious, not being timid. Guardsmen there waiting for the Germans to attack, and there you go. Grenadiers being his gun down there. Poor Ludwig is dead. More Grenadiers following up with light machine guns all the way. There we go. We got the support core for Angreifen. Means he can get out some armor soon to further pressure Jove in return. Meaning that T-70 is going to certainly have a harder time from now on. Anti-tank grenades up here. Jove, again, really preparing for enemy armor. He's got no illusions here as to how things are looking, and he is preparing for Angreifen to begin bringing up the Panzers, and he wants to be ready for it. So, good strategic move there. I think, but Jove got grenades moving up now. More bunched up. Like they're going to pull off some rough grenades perhaps now. None yet there. T-70 need repairs, and up north here getting the victory point. Their victory points. Whilst we've got a notable lead there for Angreifen over Jove at the moment. Rough grenade off there. Plus mortar fire, seeing the Guardsmen running, their cover shattered. Blown to bits.
Enemy forces are neutralizing.
But Jove is nonetheless getting back on the map here. But now we got a Panther for them on the way for Angreifen. T-70 they're almost good to go again. Fresh sandbags here. We've got a fresh counterattack here from Angreifen with Panther Grenadiers and the 2-2 ever. Well, focused on trying to deny Jove access to the fuel as much as possible. T-70 supporting, field gun supporting, that's going to give the T-2 some problems. Almost got it there. In the south, Conscript being simply overwhelmed by the sheer number of German infantry here. Rapidly pushed off the field in the centre, making progress as well. Almost got the 2-2-2. MD-42 can get a lot of trouble here. MD-42 that's under fire. 45mm gun keeps shooting in there. Incendium pistol rounds, but out in the open, that's not going to last versus the T-70. And in this case, I do think Angreifen gets a bit lucky, does not get it wiped there by the T-70 light tank. So Jove swinging back, even as he's losing the south here. And there you go, you got the Panzerkampfwagen out there for Angreifen. And the Feldherrnhalle, troops are healing, reinforcing. Do with some more sandbags there. T-70 fixed. Mines down. Panther opening up the conscripts, doing a bit of damage there. Adding up Pintelmatter machine gun. Decent moving up, but that's going to move straight to the Panther 4. No chances of running that one. Of course, got the field gun nearby to support there with its 76mm gun. It was known as the Ratschboom, by the way, by the German soldiers, because that's how it sounded to them, by the way. Little fun fact. The overall giving nicknames to the different Soviet weaponry. Something a bit silly. He's moving up close to Panzerfaust and the T-70, but Jove does avoid it. In the south, we've got Guardsmen versus Grenadiers. We've got a bunker up from Angreifen, actually. In this case, the Guardsmen are wrecking it, but interesting move there by Angreifen. Interesting move. SN6 all the way there, though, for Jove and the Mechanized Corps. Guards Mechanized specifically. In the center here, Conscripts moving about. In the south, almost got the bunker, and there you go. It is gone. SN6M arriving there. Different from the SU-6, which actually had a completely enveloped air compartment, plus the Tretz reactor operated by two separate engines, meaning it was overall way too cramped and also very prone to breaking up and running into problems because of the two different engines. So the M was basically a version that was sort of more operable. In the south here we got the Panther 4, there's the Guardsmen. The Guardsmen just need to get out of there before they get annihilated here by the Panther 4. Which is down to half health though, so that's not too bad there for Jove. Victory points wise, he's managed to stall the bleed here a bit, but overall Angreifen is still very much in control here. Should probably follow up with another Panther 4, maybe some more Panzergrenadiere, or a Stug, or an Ostwind. A few Tellermines could also, I think, be a good choice. Maximum covering here to the southern fuel point, there's yet to grab it. Up north, 2-2 with Panzergrenadiers grabbing that one. T-70 conscripts moving up there in the centre, conscripts on the far here, flanked by an MD-42 there, set up. 2-2 taking hits there from the T-70, Betsy 2 gain foot, conscripts supporting here, a lot of fire, Canadians bring up field gun holding back here, and I do believe that was a bunker there, they're almost wiping out the entire conscript support, but they are forced away. In the centre, further fighting in the south here, maximum weapon of the Grenadiers, pinning them down like insects. There's a lot of fighting here, just more or less across the entire front here between both players. T-70 is going to need some repairs though, and Guards from there reinforcing. Back here, Panzer 4 being repaired. And he's actually going for tier 4 now. Angreifen is clearly feeling bold and confident, and he's got both fuel points there, so going for tier 4 is not exactly out of this world. Could help him seal the game, though, of course. Another one might also argue just going for a couple of Panther 4s right now could also seal the deal there. So, I mean, obviously, you know, both are viable options. But certainly if he can then handle a Panther well, he could certainly lock this game down very hard. We'll have to see how it works out there. Though, of course, it does require him to make really good use of the Panther. If he can't, though, it's going to end up wasted resources. Assault gun there, though, blasting away. T-70 good to go again. Was, by the way, used to the end of the war, though. Production of it itself stopped, though, in 1943. But generally, the Russians were the sort of type, though, if they had it, they just used it until they had it no more. Same thing with the PPS-41, that was partly because they just had so many. It's supposed to replace with the PPS-43, but the thing is, it just has so many PPS-41s, they just decided to use those instead. Because, that was more practical. Grenade off in against the mortar. Got a kill there on poor Jürgen. Ah, scheiße, not Jürgen. It was the one carrying all bombs. Scheiße. Ludwig, you do it. Ah. Rough grenade off against the knees, getting a few kills there. A lot of Grenadiers moving up, Panther 4 supporting it all. SN6, T-70 field gun also set up here around the centre to defend against the Angreifen attack on it. Engineers there taking losses from the Panther 4. We got Pioneers moving up as well. That looks like he's just going to make one Bruch's assault. We got a Pack 40 out here, so he's going to take Joe's armour situation there a lot more seriously. Though that might also have something to do with the fact he's trying to play for tier 4, in which case, Pack 40 is certainly going to ensure He can, be prepared in case Jove pushes in a lot of armor. So that does make sense there. But overall, still Angreiffen's got most of the map, but Jove is beginning to take control of it again. The light vehicles and such there are helping. Certainly not also helping it so far that Angreiffen seems to have slightly changed his approach. He's less reliant on flanking now, just more head-on assaults. He's feeling confident, which could leave some openings there for Jove if he realises what Angreiffen's up to, then exploits them. Falcon under fire, Panther 4 then dodged a shot there from the Sis 3. The Sis 2, by the way, was actually an anti-tank gun, 57 meters, but higher penetration. Of course, it did less damage because the caliber of the round was smaller. Little fun fact there. And near under fire from the 2-2, Panther gun is flanking from behind. Up here, healing reinforcement going on. Panther 4 being fixed up again. I mean, if we were to launch a flank through here, could actually, I think, get behind some of the Jove's position, do a lot of damage. We got more guardsmen out here for him. We also got a heavy mortar out here for Jove, adding in some artillery besides the Su-76M. That should certainly do a bit of the trick as well. But Jove seems to sort of, dig in further and further, a lot more sandbags and the likes. His flanks are a bit exposed, but again, if Angreiffen just another sort of just head-on attacks, this could work out though. Then this halted here by the nicely set up there. Maxim, constant taking fire, mortars taking, field gun taking fire there from the German mortar. And there we go, we got the heavy Panzer Corps up there for Angreifen and the Feldherrnhalle. Panzer Corps is trying some slack movement here, but running into some engineers. We've also got a mine here. In fact, Teller mines up there for Angreifen. That's it, and the T-center of the Pack 40. Guys, they remain a problem there for Angreifen and the Feldherrnhalle. Troops there healing reinforcing. So will he go for a Panther first? Sturmpanzer, will he aim for the Panzerwerfer? I mean, a Panzerwerfer certainly would be more useful with some of the more dug-in elements, but at the same time, the faster you can get out of Panther, the faster you can begin pressuring Jove with it. And that's more importantly, gain experience for it, so you can get it towards Spectre 2 faster by the time then Jove gets out some bigger tanks, at which point the Panther's going to be a real threat. So part of me would think a Panther first, just simply for trying to gain more experience as fast as possible. Troops healing reinforcement, and again he's really focused on the centre now. Again he's sort of returning to that thing he had here in the early game, which again gave him some problems until he began slightly more outmaneuvering and outflanking Jove. And he's not focusing on trying to strike here, get behind Jove, or even attack through here and get behind Jove. He's trying to burst through here, which is where then of course Jove's going to focus most of his efforts and his guns. So Angreifen about falling into a slight sticky situation he needs to be careful with. Going for the fuel point again, we got Gaspard gear streaming up. He's sort of trying to grab territory there, extend and further curtail Angreifen's movements and efforts. And he got the 2-2 there. Bad news there for Angreifen. Bad news. Also timing for the mid-game analysis in terms of damage. Jove slightly ahead kills-wise. Angreifen's ahead. Done some more kills there to the Russian in terms of army value. They've been close to each other. In fact, still are pretty damn close. Resource float-wise. Now the players sort of floating a lot in terms of points held. Again, Angreifen sort of more in control. But again, Jove is now sort of really returning back there in the fight again. And Angreifen again is getting too focused in the centre. So, I mean, for Angreifen, it's going to come down to basically A, I think getting a Panther, and B, not getting too focused here, trying to, instead of, burst this way through, try to outmaneuver it. In particular, the Panther, a good sort of flank from the Panther support by some infantry could do a lot of damage there, quickly knocking out the H-6 and the T-70 with minimal risk of damage. I mean, again, attack either through here, basically attack through here, go through here, get behind, cover up the retreat path, do some damage to the vehicles. Or he could try and, go through here and then sort of, get behind here and again, cut off the retreat path. I mean, either way, I think any flanks he should try and attempt to get behind and cover up the retreat path, and that way strike at the vehicles, also catch the field guns a bit off guard. Then once he's got his opponent focused here, he then launches a bigger assault through here, and again, catches, Jove between two forces. So, I mean, Panther 4, Panther with some Panther gun, just think, oh dear, he's actually upgrading with a Panther Rex. That's going to limit their effectiveness in that department actually quite a bit. But ours, again, try and do that and then sort of push through, in which case you can crush the centre, minimise how many units Jove can act as salvage, and, rule that way, establish control of the centre again, then establish control of the rest of the map that way. And if he keeps just a tank through here again, that's going to give Joe a lot more time to build up further forces and just slowly bleed out Angreifen. So that's really something that Angreifen wants to avoid. But again, if he's going for Panzerix like that, that would certainly indicate he's not going for the Panther, which means either Sturmpanzer or the Panzerwerfer. I still think he should initially aim for the Panther, then follow up with something else there. And he's definitely going to need more Panther, going to need to carry some more offensive fighting. As for Jove, mine saying that'd be good, but otherwise he needs to bring up some T-3045s, and I think he should also consider trying to flank about, but instead, through here, get up here again, hit some of the more softer elements, and again, trying to get behind Angreifen's forces, forcing him to double back there, but otherwise keep up pressure and harassment here and there. Otherwise, again, if Angreifen insists on attacking for you, be prepared for it, and again, lay down some mines and other bits, to bleed him out as he tries, to retake the center, no matter the cost. So let's return to the fight here and see what happens next. Panther 4 moving up there. Veterans who won 13 kills for the fatherland. Engineers on the fire there from the machine guns. Got guards moving up, a bit of being halted here by the triple grenadier squads. All close to veteran defeat there. Panther 4 pushing back the engineers. Guards fighting around here. Veteran defeat with 8 kills. We got the S-6 supporting here. Panther 4 taking down to half health. Good work. Still no take up for Joe further. As for Angreifen, could be going for the Panther, could be going for the Panther, could be going for the Panzer. They're all viable choices. Though again, I think the Panther initially would be the better choice here. Simply because of the presence it does have, and also would minimize the effectiveness of the S-6. Grenadiers getting extremely lucky there with the T-70, which doesn't get a single kill there. Also quickly turning back to reconnaissance again, to spot for the elements. And there we go. Ends up losing a unit there. Some pioneers got wiped here with the guardsmen retreat. We got grenadiers charging forwards. Good grenade here could do a lot of damage. There you go, grenades from the turn there on the guardsmen. Still no take up there for Joe. For Angreifen, we still got nothing happening there either. I mean, he's got the resources for the Panther now. Also noting actually, Angreifen is get to choose a doctor. I mean, doctor, I think the elite troop would be a pretty good one here. Panzer Tactician, Tiger Racers in theory, but also Stormtroopers, T-43s, and also stun grenades. In the end, though, there we go. Panzer there on the way there for Angreifen and the Feldherrn Grenadiers trying to push through again in the north. Again, Angreifen's attack patterns have become a lot more predictable, and that does again give Joe a better chance of defending against them. Guardsmen constantly moving up. Guardsmen are trying to flank here the Grenadiers, though of course a lot of mortar fire going back and forth. Got a bit of harassment in the west as he tried to further pressure Angreifen that way. Good work. Good work. And there we go, we also got to take up here for Jove. It is the mechanized armor company. Panzerwerfer almost, and there we go, done for Angreifen. T-70, or H-6 actually hits the telemine laid down previously and gets knocked out. Good work there by Angreifen and the Feldherrnhalle. And there you go, Panzerwerfer out. So where will he aim it? Where will he direct the rockets? And we got air reconnaissance as well. But he's firing it at max range, which does again minimize overall the effectiveness of it. That's around the Haymotor trying to silence that, but obviously doesn't really do a lot. The suppressors does some slight damage, but overall not too much, since overall there's just too much scattered on that barrage. Grenadiers moving through the south, they're trying to get for the fuel ponds, so at least now trying to further, outmaneuver Jove. He's sort of, not quite so keen on just trying to break through there anymore. That's good. Country actually close again to wipe. I mean, we've got 3 Grenadiers, light machine guns, a lot of veterans again. There we go, annihilated. Wipes Jove's conscript squad there. Brutal play there, brutal play. But there we go, Jove is now bringing up the T-45s. T-70 taking hit from the Pack 40, taking it down to half health. Immediately popping self-repairs in case Angreifen's able to get off another shot. The air reconnaissance here, by the way, also gives Angreifen another advantage. At least he knows where Jove's forces are, and thusly can, outmaneuver them if necessary, but also avoid, bigger concentrations. That's also, good reason for having that one. But it is Jaeger armor. A bit surprised at that, but let's see if he actually makes use of it to any extent, besides air reconnaissance and maybe some spotting scopes. Panther 4, they're taking a hit there from the SIS-3. And there we go, we got the T-3045 ready here for Jove. Rodina. Got the Panthers there, the Panther. There you go, T-70 moves up with the Panther. He's going to get the T-70, fires and gets the T-70. Quite a loss there for Jove. And there you go, wipes the Pioneer squad with the T-45. Gets a bit of return vengeance there for the motherland. Wipes the Panther Grenadier squad as well. Holy moly. Panther takes over there, go till he found the Maxim. Gets out in the nick of time there, but still takes a bit of damage. Heavy mortar find the Grenadiers. Back hit. Healing reinforcement going on. They're pretty much good to go. 6 kills already on that T-45. That is definitely impressive there for Jove. And certainly a bit of a nasty loss there for Angreifen. Will he go for the Panther in response to it? Will he actually try and go for an Elephant? That'd be a bit of a surprise move there, to be honest. The Elephant just isn't that good of a unit there in 1-1 games. So there we go. We got the Panther on the way there for Angreifen and the Feldherrnhalle.
Our territory is falling into enemy hands.
Engineers versus Grenadiers there. T-34 supporting the north here. He's pulling it into a bit of a reserve position, so it's not going to be the first thing his opponent sees and shoots at. Can still, for example, react to support in the north if it becomes necessary, but could also rush it towards elsewhere if it becomes necessary there. So, got it over there. South just being swallowed up here by Jove's forces. S-Mart's going off there. Panther almost done there for Angreifen and the Wehrmacht. Panzerkampfwagen 5. Grenadiers under fire from the T-45. Maxim winning as well their Vetch and T3. Quickly suppressing them.
Fresh guards troops are standing
more
by.
guardsmen for Jove. But no more Panther Grenadiers for Angreifen. There you go. Panther out. Moving ahead there. For the fatherland. The Model D. Sadly not the Model G, which had better side armor and, well, in a sense, improved frontal armor since there are less weaknesses in the frontal armor, in a sense. No driver's hatch, which tends to be a weak spot, and also slightly improved mantlet on the gun, also decreasing the overall chance of getting knocked out. Model D also happened to be the mass production model, if you will, the one the most produced actually of all the Panther models. There you go, Panther moving up, then into the line of fire with the T-35, got guards from nearby support as well. Rushing at the Panther, spotting scopes up by the way. Grenadiers supporting their guards with a bit of trouble, got a few shots there, actually penetrating the front line with the Panther. More Pioneers on the way for Angreifen to replace the ones lost in service of the fatherland. North you got the Panther dealing with the conscripts up here inside the manor house. Yuri slaughtered and, well, covered as in his wall painting, probably. Panther hanging back, he wants to get some hits on the T-45. MD-42 dealing with some guardsmen in the centre, he needs some infantry to support that Panther. Some Panther Grenadiers I think would be the best choice here. And T-35 wisely I think breaks off here. No point of trying to engage the Panther head on. Not without more numbers, which Jove is a bit from. He needs a bit more map, I think, you bring him another T-45. Panther pulling back a bit. And he's bring up versus the guardsmen. Still got heavy cover there behind the wreckage of a tractor. 27 kills there, Veteran T3. Hit down the conscripts up north.
You need light anti-tank support?
Panther ready.
How can we help?
And they're secured. Being secured there. Angreifen's only struggling a bit with the fuel department again. He could consider maybe a fuel cache to help offset that a bit. Panther taking hits there from the field gun, penetrating it by the way. There we go, Panther lands good hit on the field gun. There we go, Panther follows up. Gets some more damage done this time around, lands some more devastating hits, gains Veterans 1. And Panther takes that T-35 there close down to half health. So a bit more pressure here, needs to fix up that Panther first. And a part of me suggests maybe another Panther. I mean, if you're going to go for Panthers, you kind of need two at the moment. So they have a really, I think, good chance for getting the most out of them. Guards being pushed back, he's sort of just sticking all the Grenadiers together in one spot. And there go, nice grenade trying to deal with the advancing Grenadiers. Nice throw there by Jove's men. No fixes for the Panther. And up north there, Pioneers going for the northern victory point. Victory points wise, by the way. Jove's been able to bleed out that Angreifen a lot of his lead there, so that's good work by him. Close, we're going to be able to call in the second T-45. And the south there, Grenadiers grabbing the victory point there for the fatherland. T-35 sets up there, supported by plenty of engineers. D-34-85 rolls ahead, crashing through the mud. Grenadiers are under fire. Panther moving down. Misses here the T-35 quite impressively. Panther 4 there wipes the country up north. It gets behind the manor house and basically kills them as they try to retreat and escape. Nice move there by Angreifen. Jove the sneak up for an act. Has a clear line of view and line of fire on the mortar. Go straight for it. Angreifen have them undefended, unscreened, and wipes the veteran 3 mortar. Quite a loss there for Angreifen the Feldherrnhalle. In the centre, Panther, while they're still not been repaired, it's now getting swamped here by Guardsmen. Need to retreat, need to retreat. Then he needs to go up there. He needs to turn the front towards the Guardsmen. Panther commanders, by the way, always instructed to keep the front towards the enemy at all times, since that was basically, you know, the toughest spot on them. So he needs to fix up that Panther ASAP. Guardsmen, they're getting blasted by MB-42s and the Panther 4 there. H-35 on the way for Jove there. Interesting choice, but not a bad choice either. Certainly has more penetration than the T-35 and can certainly that way do more damage to the Panther more reliably. Panther 4 getting eventually 2 shoots and up. Panther not getting prioritized in repairs. He's retreating the Pioneers, so at this point he should get 2 Pioneer squads to basically speed up the repairs. And with that much armor out, part would definitely suggest maybe a second Panther, though he could consider Sturmpanzer as well, just to help deal with the infantry and support weapons. I mean, as long as Jove doesn't get too much more armor, that should work out. As long as he doesn't do anything silly with this Panther. So the S-35 medium tanks are out there. And there goes going for the Sturmpanzer.
We are losing supplies to the enemy.
And there's their flanking in there. Again, he seems relying a bit on LMG block tactics there. Bit of a shame there, if anything. Max been caught up in it. Cancels the Sturmpanzer. Panther forming to line of fire of the S-35. And he's immediately put down to half health there. Almost knocked out, in fact, by the S-35 medium tank destroyer. Also taken up to halfway to experience level 1 there. T-35 sets out in the south. He is getting more Pioneers. Good work there, by the way. He in fact needs to repair his Panther Werfer, his Panther, and his Panther 4 now. There's a lot of things that it repairs. A lot of guards from their blasting at the Grenadiers who need to get back there. They're going to get wiped. They're going to get wiped. Angreifen. Scheiße.
We are losing a sector.
No idea why he cancelled the Sturmpanzer though. If he's planning another Panther, maybe he's thinking about the Elephant now. Hard to say there what is going through Angreifen's mind there. He's almost got Jove down there. He's down to 76. Their victory points there, 77.
We are down to 70.
Well, he's got 242. So I mean, Angreifen's now back in a solid lead there versus Jove. T-35 moves in there into the line of fire of the Pack 40. Target weak point. A heat round there being loaded. Shoot! Shoot! But there's the weak point. It's a Russian tank. Just hit it. So thing are loaded with ammunition and fuel. Which was actually the truth. Tank T-34s weren't exactly known for having a lot of spaces, meaning, you know, wherever they could stuff, they'd stuff, you know, fuel and ammunition. Which rather meant them, you know, once they got penetrated, they did have a high intensive gun kaboom. Panther needs repairs. It is Veterans 1 though, Panther 4's Veterans 2, but still, they're not getting a lot of repairs done. H-5, they're pulling back, they're almost Veterans 1 already. Grenadiers moving up here, catching the heavy mortar crew. He's got regular Panther Grenadier out. He's getting for more Panther strikes. The problem is that he seems to be slightly ignoring the threat there. The Guardsmen, it's not doing enough to deal with those. Panther strikes won't help with that. Sturmpanzers, Ostwinds, more Panther Werfers, another Panther 4 would help with that. Panther Grenadiers unupgraded will help. Panther strikes though won't. Another T-35 there for Jove and the second Guards mechanized corps. Which also had Sherman tanks, by the way, in it. In fact, they had to hand over the T-35-85s to make way for the Sherman tanks they actually received. Little fun fact there, we got Panthers there though. Not enough minutes for the bun grenades again. I can't help but feel those Panther strikes ended up being a rather poor decision there by Angreifen, strategically and tactically. Panther here doing some damage, closing in on Veteran 2, almost wiping up Veteran 3 maximum crew there, some heroes.
We have a new T-34
Panther fixed up, but
standing
needs to get it back in action. We got the pinned up machine gun on the way as well. Good, good. There we go, engaging the guardsman out in the open. Lots of machine gun fire. There we go. Jove's quick to pull back his men, but he's much more in control here against Angreifen now. Much more in control. T-35 there sits out. Grenadiers there, almost wiped with the heavy mortar, which is closing in on Veteran 3 by the way. Which means it can very soon, I think, actually begin firing into Jove's or Angreifen's base from Jove's base. Panther 4 good to go. He's not really utilising the Panther though. He needs to be more active with it. I mean, again, the more expensive you can gain, the more pressure you can apply to Jove, the better. I mean, the more he just sits back with it, the worse. Obviously, shouldn't do anything reckless with it, but you know, there's reckless and then there's doing nothing, which are like two extremes. He's supporting it with the Panther 6, which is nice, but doesn't help so much again versus the infantry. Got the Panther 4 moving out there. H-35, they're covering up the T-45, and there you go. Turns, shoots, penetrates. Panther opens up, Panther 4 as well. T-35 take a lot of damage. Panther extending off some good hits. Panther moving in there. I think you should prioritise the H-35 a bit here. We've got a field gun they're covering up. In fact, to cover up the advance against the T-45. Should find the armor there with the Panther there. Good setup, good setup. H-35 lands another hit there. He's continuing into the base though. Pretty risky hit, pretty risky right. Him. He's trying to blitz, but he's getting buttoned up. They're taking hits here. You got Panther Grenadiers moving up. You got the Panther 4 moving up as well here. Panther does escape here, close to Veteran T2. Pretty risky move there by Angreifen. Pretty risky. Didn't get the T-35 either, and he was very close to losing the Panthers. Needs to pull back the Panther 4 as well. H-5 moves in though and knocks out the Panther 4. Quite a blow there to Angreifen. He's going to definitely have to replace that with a Panther. Something else, there's some more armor, but that was definitely not the most well-executed move there by Angreifen. Just fed Jove there some experience putting against H-35 now and Veteran 2. Meaning once the Panther hits Veteran 2, that's not going to be as effective anymore as it could be. I mean, it's still going to be reasonably effective, but the H-35 is not going to be having a hard time with it.
We are losing territory.
Though mind you, Veteran 2 for the Panther also gives it a small health boost. That makes it a bit tougher in that direction. Guardsmen, they're pushing forward, flanking the MD-42 here. We can see Angreifen now has been increasingly struggling here with the increasingly elite guardsmen here. Some of them with 30 kills. Another Panther left barrage here.
We are losing supplies to the enemy.
Suppressing some of the guardsmen, but not all of them. Others just keep, going forwards. And again, the Panther Grenadiers with the Panther 6 aren't so useful against them. There you go though, machine guns here opening up, suppressing the guards right outside the base. Damn close in the south, we've got Grenadiers there being pushed back. Others sneaking through here, the enemy lines, need to be careful. T-35 misses them, knocking out the house behind them, giving them, I'm sure, quite a shock. Panther almost good to go again. Will he go for another Panther? Will he be the Sturmpanther now? What will Angreifen aim for here versus Jove? Victory points very close there, in a sense, but still lead for Angreifen. Jove still very much in the precipice there of oblivion, of defeat. Also, demo charge, he looks to wipe the unit. There we go, Rough Grenade off. Almost wipes the engineers, but doesn't quite land the hit there. Panther there, close to Veteran T2. Walls and crates shattered here by the T-35. Explosive shooting. Panther moving down there to support. Pioneers in the fire there from the Grenadiers. And we got more Panther fire here trying to wipe out the Guardsmen, gaining Veteran T2. 15 kills.
Territory is falling into enemy hands.
Keeping the Panther supported with the infantry. Good choice there, I think. Good choice. We've got the Haymarket nearby, actually. Veteran T3. Grenadiers, Panzer's moving up. Need supported with the Panther, though. MD-42, they're wiped out. Guardsmen annihilated. Quite a loss there for Angreifen.
Enemy forces are neutralizing.
There you go. Panther shoots but misses. Panther Grenadiers firing. There you go. Gains some good hits. Veteran T2. Panther moves up, making use of spawning scopes there to fire. And misses again. That's a bit awkward. Grenadiers have been suppressed, pinned down here by the Maxims. He's almost Veteran T2 there.
Enemy forces capturing supply sector.
Another T-35 there for Jove. Needs to pull back the Panther though. He's overextending again. He's not going for any more armor though. Again, he could go for another Panther just in a few moments, but will he be able to match it at this point? He's going for a Sturmpanzer now. Yeah, and he hits a mine. He hits a mine too. His Panther's in a bad state there. We got the H-85 again. Quite veteran there going after the Panther. So close to Veteran T2 though. There we go. Gains 52. Shoots and added a bit of extra armor there. A bit of extra durability. H-85 misses. Desperately trying to escape here through the mud. H-5 misses. Gonna just moving up. They're gonna try and I think Panther Faust it, stall it. You got a lot of troops moving down there, but will it be in time? I doubt it. Panther shoots, misses. H-5 misses. Panther Faust there fails to damage the engine. Pulled behind near the tree line. Can he get behind it? There you go. H-5 gets the Panther. Angreifen there got punished for extending, and again that jump punch is not going to help much now. T-35 moving ahead here. There you go, Panther's being pushed back here. And it is pushed back. Rifle there versus the Guardsman. And T-35's rolling through here. There's not a lot there left from Angreifen now to actually stop Jove's armoured push here. I mean, you got the Sturmpanzer, but that's not really going to make much of an impression there upon Jove's T-35s. Though technically it would have, since it actually packed a lot of high explosion low shelter, in fact more than in the ISU, which was quite good at knocking out tanks for those, by the way. There you go, almost got one T-35, but will it matter? Probably not. His troops getting blasted inside the base. He's bleeding victory points like a stuck pig. Not stuffed pig, like for some reason the American announcer goes.
Another vehicle has been lost in the defense of the Rodina.
49 points left, 46. H-5 coming up to help us with the Sturmpanzer, damaged engine. Got the Panther there for Vecchi 2 there. Sturmpanzer taking quite a few hits there. All of a sudden, close to Vecchi 3 then, the H-85. Garten moving up. 34 points left. Field gun sitting up there. Sturmpanzer misses. H-5 taking damage, engine there. Veteran defeating the field gun, increasing penetration rate of fire. Bad news there from the Sturmpanzer. Gets several kills, but the field gun should be able to get off another hit there. Nope. Gets out of the arc of fire there pretty quickly. 19 points left here. Garten versus Grenadiers. Instead of trying to take a longer path towards it, they're trying to break through straight away and then gets caught up by the Guardsman. 13 points left. And there you go. Game over, GG. Angreifen loses a long, brutal battle here between two experienced veteran players from the end. Jove perseveres. For overall, I think better tactics and better strategy. Overall, flanking more than his opponent. Angreifen, I think at some points they got a bit too confident, just focused too much in the centre as well. Plus, too much relying on panzer grenades with pantry checks when they didn't make sense. I mean, you want those when you need them. When your opponent has a lot of infantry like guardsmen, you don't want them so much as you want panzer grenades without those to sort of deal with the guardsmen or something else there. And that, I think, was one of the issues with Angreifen. He rather underestimated the power of the guardsmen for too long, allowing Jove to build up strength there, plus then support his tanks with them, which rather make things a lot more difficult for the Angreifen, who I think also should have, aimed for a panther faster, get that more experience faster, and play, a bit more coherently. I mean, he supported it some of the time, but the problem is at other times he just overextended and almost getting knocked out, and finally then getting it knocked out because of that. How do you say at 2 Panthers, I think would have applied a lot more pressure to Jove, and Jove would have been a lot more trouble. So that's something there to consider for Angreifen for another game. But there you go. I hope you enjoyed this match. I hope you learned something from it. I hope it gave you different matches. If it did, subscribe, tell your friends, share it with everyone. If not, send in a replay and provide some feedback in the comment section. And if you do feel like do consider supporting the Propagandacast, donating a bit. There are links in the video description to Patreon or PayPal. Every little bit helps me keep casting day after day. So do consider. This is Imperial Dane signing off, and hope to see you all tomorrow for another exciting episode. Cheers.